Hello everyone, welcome back to BadgerBeat.com. Rob Hernandez along with Jim Polzin as we give you our Badger breakdown. And Jim, let's start with your game ball. If you had to give a game ball in a strange game like this, who would it go to?
Yeah, I gave it to Trevin Durrell, the LSU wide receiver. He averaged 50 yards a catch on 3 catches, so it was tough to pass him up. I think Melvin Gordon would have made a strong case if UW won, and frankly, if he would have touched the ball more than 3 times in the second half. But other than that, it was a weird game. There weren't a lot of real breakout players. Just kind of a strange first game.
Thumbs up, thumbs down portion of our breakdown. Let's go with thumbs up. Who gets the thumbs up?
Well, I gave it to Joe Schobert, UW junior linebacker. I thought he had a really nice game, a really nice sequence where he forced a fumble, he had a sack, he made a nice tackle on a special teams play. I think Vince Beagle gets a lot of of the headlines in that outside linebacker group, but I think Joe Schobert could be a pretty special player this year too. And
I guess thumbs down. It had to be someone in that last fourth quarter breakdown that might have gotten the wrath of your thumb.
Well, the easy choice probably was Tanner McAvoy, and that's who I gave it to. I was really encouraged by his play early in the game. Yeah. I thought he came out. I was wondering how he would be with the big stage and everything. I thought he looked fine early on, but the more passes he threw, the worse he'd look. And when you only complete 33% of your passes, and I think he averaged, I put in my my story, like 2.4 yards per attempt. Mm-hmm. Those aren't good. I think our colleague Andy Baggett looked up for debuts of UW quarterbacks, and there weren't many that were lower than McAvoy in terms of passer rating. Yeah. So it wasn't pretty, and he can only go up from here.
And it might have been a different story, Jim, if he had been able to run the ball as he did in the first half too, but that went away as well.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was different. I mean, things were really rolling offensively in the first. Really through the first series of the second half, and then momentum's a funny thing. You get a 17-point lead and some bad things happen to you, and the crowd gets into it. I think we all know it was a very pro-LSU crowd. And, I think you kind of go into a shell a little bit. I don't know if that's what happened today to McAvoy and the rest of the team, but something went wrong the last, almost 2 quarters.
And how they see it, and when we say they, there's all sorts of people, the fans, the players. In general, it was a hard one to say how they see it, and without putting someone on a couch and hiring a sports psychiatrist, because there were some good things early, some great things early, defensively outstanding things early. Mm-hmm. But how do you walk away from this game trying to evaluate how the nation looks at the Badgers after what happened in the fourth quarter?
Well, it's weird. I mean, I predicted a LSU victory by 10 points or something. Right. So if you just look at the final score, 28-24, that's not a bad result. They played a premier team from the SEC tough, and there's a lot to build on. However, the game within the game is that they led by 17 points in the second half and let it get away from them. So it's a discouraging loss. I think the Badgers are sick of close losses at this point. I mean, it's just they've had so many. Some of these fifth-year seniors have had so many during their career that it's tough to get in there and keep answering questions. Fans, judging by Twitter, were very anti-Tanner McAvoy, and I think they wanted Joel Stave, it completely blows my mind because, every game last year you log on Twitter and everything was anti-Stave. So it's one of those things where if you're the backup quarterback, you're
beloved, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. The pollsters, I'm interested to see what the pollsters do because, like I said, you're number 14 team in the country. You lose to number 13 team by 4 points. You, in theory, shouldn't lose, much ground. Right. However, you did lose kind of dramatically when you have a 17-point lead and you blow it. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But I really think if you look at it from as a whole, I think there were some good things to build on, and they probably proved they were a top 15 type, top 20 type team.
Right.
And I think people thought they were overrated going to this game. So the strange thing is I think they proved themselves to be a worthy team even though they lost.
I think maybe if the pollsters don't see the fourth quarter film, all will be good. But
maybe they went to bed.
Maybe they went to bed because it's late here. And Jimmy, I appreciate you sticking around to talk to us about the breakdown. Should be a very interesting week leading up to Western Illinois.
Yeah, the biggest concern coming out of this game, just how they bounce back from the loss, but then you lose Warren Herring and Conrad Zebski for an indefinite time. Yeah, I mean they're already rather small, relatively speaking, and inexperienced on the defensive front. Now you take away 2 fifth-year seniors who have played a pretty good amount of football. It leaves you with a lot of young guys and a lot of guys that maybe their bodies aren't ready for the grind of a Big Ten slate. So I think that's the most disappointing thing to come out of this for the Badgers, is that you get beat up pretty good, and you lose a couple guys that you really, frankly, needed.
Morally and physically,
Yes.
The Badgers have some wounds to nurse, and we'll see how they nurse them before Western Illinois next week at Camp Randall. For Jim Polzin, I'm Rob Hernandez. Thanks for watching the Badger Breakdown. We'll see you next week after the Western Illinois game.